The Ben Garcia Show. Yeah. Best show in the land. Yup. Listen. Come and get your information from Ben Garcia. Get the latest on your quarterback, running backs, and receivers. Tune in, so any other show you don't need them. Any news that he giving out, please just believe him. Giving out the latest prediction and top-notch analysis. Wanna hear the truth, better have thick skin like calluses. The latest move that your team just made can be damaging. The dudes ain't speaking no facts, they just be rambling. Lights, camera, action, turn on the show, go get the cameraman. Yeah. Lights, camera, action, turn on the show, go get the cameraman.
What is up? Welcome in to yet another edition of the Ben Garcia Show. Thank you so much for making this a part of your day. However you're listening, however you're watching, whether it's iHeartRadio app for free, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of those things are absolutely appreciated. Or you're watching on YouTube, you wanted to put a face to the voice and you're watching on there. Thank you again for making us a part of your day. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, tell a friend. Write in the comment section what you dislike about me. Write in the comment section what you love about me. But remember, fragile ego, have to be careful with what you are going to say. Jam-packed show. We're going to talk all things NFL. There's a lot of different things going on. We're going to talk some Dak Prescott, the Cowboys getting rolled, maybe the other side of the ball there with Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. A lot of huge things going on in the world of football, and we will touch on it all. But before we get to any of those other topics, I want to start right here. The San Francisco 49ers took on the Arizona Cardinals and just pummeled the Cardinals. There was no reason for them not to. This is not one of those wins where you're going to get too high or where you're going to get too low on the Niners. It's not something where I'm going to pile on. It was a good team win for the Niners. The Cardinals were not even playing the same sport as them. It was probably the largest gap of talent that I've seen in my many years of watching the Cardinals, in my many years of watching the Niners, in my many years of watching the NFL. I mean, if you were to compare those two teams, it looked like a JV team versus a pro team. The Arizona Cardinals being the JV team and the pro team being the San Francisco 49ers. If you're just looking on paper, if you were to rank the top 10 players on these teams of this matchup, 8 of the 10 of them would be 49ers players. Maybe Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray would obviously make that list. Maybe Budda Baker makes that list. Maybe Trey McBride makes that list, but outside of that, it'd be a lot of Deebo Samuels, Christian McCaffrey's, Brock Purdy's, Deebo Samuels, like we said before, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Trent Williams. On the other side of the ball, Travarius Ward. It's just a lopsided matchup. And then we get more into the weeds of things and then talking about awards, the stupidest, most vanity thing about sports, awards, because ultimately we don't actually care how many MVPs you have unless, of course, you're Cam Newton or Russell Westbrook and we try to grandfather you into some of the best players of their generation, which, of course, is just not true because then you'll remind people that Matt Ryan also won an MVP and they take him out of the elite class. It never makes sense to me. There's never tangible evidence of what exactly an MVP makes you. But that brings me to this point. I have a rant on social media that has gone mega viral for me. It's got over 500,000 views. It might even be north of that. I haven't checked in a long time. My mentions are always blowing up. And it simply is the same notion over and over again. Brock Purdy cannot be the NFL's MVP. The most valuable player. What does valuable mean to you? What does valuable mean to me? Valuable to me is very simply and very plainly, what would happen if you took that player off that team? And this is why Brock Purdy is simply not the MVP. You can say in the same breath that Brock Purdy, statistically speaking, has been a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. And then you remind yourself, players like Joe Burrow have been out a lot of the year. Kyler Murray's barely came back. Justin Herbert just went down with an injury. We've been dealing with injuries to quarterbacks legitimately all season long. So what is valuable, right? So what happens if you take that quarterback off their team? What happens? Do they implode? Do they just turn to a 500 team? Do they still become a playoff team, but just not as viable in the playoffs as they would have been before. And this is where my argument has been with Brock Purdy. And people, just dumb fanboys in my mentions, just saying dumb things like, oh, you must have never played the sport. It's the stupidest thing I ever heard. First off, if you have never created a song, if you've never performed in a concert, you are not allowed to have an opinion on music. If you're not a chef, you're not allowed to have an opinion on food. Oh, that's unfair and unreasonable and stupid. You can have an opinion on anything. You can respect it. You don't have to respect it. But acting like because someone didn't play in the NFL that their opinion isn't valid to anything is stupid. It's negligent. It's not fair. And it's a really bad way to try to prove your argument. You just seem like a meathead fanboy. And so Brock Purdy, you can say in the same breath with Brock Purdy, he's been a top 5 quarterback this year statistically. He's easily a top 10 quarterback in the NFL right now. It's pretty hard for anyone to try to dispute that with the season that he's had. But then say in the same breath, Brock Purdy is not the most valuable player in the NFL. Now, listen, he's probably going to win the MVP. I seriously couldn't care less. My job is to offer a strong opinion on it. And so when you look at that team, what happened to Brock Purdy this year when Deebo Samuel went down, when Trent Williams went down, and he only had Christian McCaffrey and Brandon Ayuk and Kyle Shanahan to help guide him? They went 0-3. They lost to P.J. Walker, they lost to Kirk Cousins, and they lost to Joe Burrow. A valiant loss to Joe Burrow, but Joe Burrow at home, they lost. So what's valuable? You're going to tell me, and fanboys, 49ers fans will go, oh, you take Tyreek Hill off of Patrick Mahomes. What is he? Oh, an MVP Super Bowl champion. Is one of the most brought up things in my mentions. Oh, so I guess Joe Montana and Steve Young just aren't very good because if you take off Jerry Rice or Clark or whoever it is you want to take off from that team, Bill Walsh, whoever you want to take off from that team, and then try to prove your point? No. No one here thinks Joe Montana was codependent on Jerry Rice. No one thinks Steve Young was codependent on any other teammate that he's had. But if you can't see the difference between Joe Montana, Steve Young, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, and Brock Purdy, then I can't help you. You know, Brock Purdy, again, is a good quarterback. Is Brock Purdy the MVP of the league? No, he's just simply not. I don't know how you can watch some of the throws from the game against the Cardinals on Sunday and say to yourself, Brock Purdy's the MVP. I mean, these are MVP caliber throws. He is throwing to wide open players. Not his fault, but it's going to work against him in the MVP argument. Because when I look at players like Josh Allen, who I understand didn't have a great Sunday this past Sunday, didn't necessarily have a bad Sunday, but didn't necessarily have a good Sunday. And I think, what is he working with? Oh, he's going to get into the playoffs with just Stephon Diggs? Then, yeah, I'm going to hold more merit to the argument for Josh Allen than I am for Brock Purdy. Or I look at Patrick Mahomes, and I think, Kadarius Toney, if he just doesn't play in a few games, he is legitimately costing the Chiefs games. If he doesn't play in 2 or 3 games this year where he legitimately cost the Chiefs multiple games, the Chiefs' record is completely different. The Chiefs lead the NFL in drops. And somehow, some way, Patrick Mahomes is leading them to a 9-5, 10-5 record. I mean, it's insane. It is insane to me how people can look at Patrick Mahomes' body of work and look at the body of work of Brock Purdy and say, well, Brock Purdy's amazing. There's no way, shape, or form in which Brock Purdy isn't more valuable than Patrick Mahomes. I mean, of course he is. I mean, look at what he's doing this year. We saw what the Niners looked like without Brock Purdy. They made a Super Bowl. They made 2 NFC Championship games. Call me crazy. That's pretty good, even for the unrealistic standards sometimes that 49ers hold for their own teams. Brock Purdy you can say in the same breath, is a good quarterback. You could say he's a top 5 quarterback this year, and also say he's not the most valuable player. And also, he's not the most valuable player on his own team. You take away a Deebo Samuel, the games that the 49ers are playing look completely different. You take away Christian McCaffrey, who would be higher on my ballot than Brock Purdy, you have a significantly worse running game. You take away Trent Williams, the left tackle, we saw what happened. They lose a few games. Doesn't mean Brock Purdy's bad. Doesn't matter what the sensitivity is around Brock Purdy from 49ers fans who will just scream louder than you that they think that he's the MVP because that's the only team they watch. But it's insanity. If you think Brock Purdy is the MVP, it is pure insanity. There is no, people will point to the stats. He's number 1 in all the major stats. Stats are like bikinis. They show you a lot. They don't show you everything. If you watch the Cardinals game on Sunday, if you watch a multitude of games, he is throwing to wide open receivers. Credit to him for hitting those receivers. Credit to him for hitting those all-pro wide open wide receivers. And he's doing a very good job of it. It doesn't translate to valuable. Jimmy G threw to a lot of wide open receivers too. Jimmy G led the team to a Super Bowl. Jimmy G was up on Patrick Mahomes by 10 points in the fourth quarter and couldn't close it out. Jimmy G made it to a Super Bowl, was leading in a Super Bowl late in the game against Patrick Mahomes, made it to 2 NFC Championship games. Call me crazy, but we've seen what the 49ers look like without Brock Purdy. We've just seen what the 49ers look like without Brock Purdy. You insert Jimmy G in there, in which 49ers fans tell me is god-awful, and what does he do? Makes it to a Super Bowl, makes it to 2 NFC Championship games. Regardless of how sensitive San Francisco 49ers fans are, you can say in the same breath, top 5 quarterback this year, top 10 quarterback this year, not the MVP. Lamar Jackson is ahead of him. Josh Allen is creeping up to him. Dak Prescott is probably still ahead of him. His teammate Christian McCaffrey is ahead of him. Is Brock Purdy number 5, number 6 on my ballot? Sure. But the MVP this year? You're insane if you think he is. Let's spend a few minutes on what is so-called America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. I've had multiple people reach out to me. You know what? Let me start actually from here. There are a lot of people out there that think that I have any sort of merit or clout or following in the sports media industry because of my quote-unquote hatred for the Dallas Cowboys. It's just not a thing. I do not hate the Dallas Cowboys. I do not hate Dak Prescott. I don't have enough time in my day to go out of my day and hate your team. I'm not a fanboy. I don't care about your team. I strictly will give you my unbiased, strongest opinion on sports topics. And people want to hear about the Dallas Cowboys, so I talk about the Dallas Cowboys, but they have mostly underachieved over the last 2 decades and some change over their expectations for the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm just one of the few people who call it out. I don't pander to anyone. I don't pander to any audience. Do I say a take, and when I know it agitates, do I sprinkle in a little bit more of how I feel and poke some fun? Of course I do. And so does your favorite sportscaster. They all do. There is no one out there that knows when there's a take that agitates a bunch of the public that they don't squeeze every juice out of it because it is fun, it's a part of sports, and it's just the way sports broadcasting and opinions are to be tailored to your audience. So now let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys. Now that we've gotten out there, I don't hate your team. I don't have enough time in my day to hate your team. Let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys. You know, I didn't come on here last week and talk Cowboys-Eagles. The Cowboys utterly dominated. The Eagles look just completely mismanaged at this moment. They're switching defensive coordinators. It's a mess in Philly right now. They have time to fix it. But I've got a lot of things going on in my spare time, things that you don't really care about. I couldn't make it on. So, of course, it's just a coincidence that I'm on here the week that the Cowboys lose and silent, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys are exactly what we think they are. And I'm going to come out heavy hitting just right off the bat. The Dallas Cowboys are obviously contenders for the Super Bowl because anything can happen. But as of right now, there is no one in their right mind that is taking the Dallas Cowboys to win the Super Bowl. I mean, we just look at their 3 of their 4 biggest games this year. They are 1-4 in 3 of their 4 biggest games this year. They lost to Philly because of some boneheaded mistakes, because of things like stepping out of bounds, some untimely penalties, and not converting in the red zone. They lost abysmally on the road to the San Francisco 49ers. It was not competitive at all. Dak Prescott was a shell of himself. And now, in another important game after they spent all of 20 seconds in the lead of the NFC East, they crumble to the Buffalo Bills. Now, what does it mean? Well, I just kind of told you what it meant. The Dallas Cowboys, when it matters the most, when the stars and the lights are the brightest, they're not going to come through. No one hates the Dallas Cowboys. I'm here to be honest with you. I'm not a fanboy. And I'm not just going to put this on Dak Prescott. The Dallas Cowboys have an identity, and every team needs an identity. Now, different identities are better than other identities at points in the NFL, but the Dallas Cowboys' identity is you don't want to play us at home, and when we get a lead, we're going to pin our ears back, and we're going to get your quarterback. That's what the Dallas Cowboys are. They get a lead, they play downhill, they get pick sixes, DeRon Bland and company, Micah Parsons. But did you watch the Buffalo Bills Dallas Cowboys game? Completely and utterly dysfunctional and disorganized, and everyone saw it coming. Go check the betting numbers. Everyone was on the Buffalo Bills -2, -1, -3. They knew this was going to be a rout. This was a quarterback, just 2 totally different quarterbacks, one better than the other, although, of course, Josh Allen didn't play great in this game. Granted, he wasn't asked to play amazing in this game. He was asked to manage this game, not to absolutely be a game breaker, or if I'm stealing from Cam Newton, a game changer in this game. The Dallas Cowboys defense got exposed. It just got exposed by James Cook of all running backs, who, call it what it is, there's like 10 other running backs in the NFL I would take over James Cook. So they're getting beat by a running back who is not one of the premier running backs in the NFL. I'd probably take 12 to 15 running backs in the NFL over James Cook. And so you see the numbers. We kind of already went over it. The Dallas Cowboys in 3 of their 4 biggest games have crumbled. And that's not even counting the Arizona Cardinals game, which, again, wasn't a big game. But now let's see how they stack up. Well, when they're playing Tommy DeVito and Mac Jones at home, or Zach Wilson at home, they're really good. They'll run you out of the building. They will pin their ears back, get a lead, and make your life a living hell. Now, can they go on the road in big games and just be competitive? Outside of the Eagles game, no. Philadelphia Eagles game was competitive. The Buffalo Bills, the San Francisco 49ers, completely uncompetitive games. That is a warning sign for the Dallas Cowboys. They average almost 2 touchdowns and a field goal, 16 points, less points per game on the road than they do at home. They don't travel well. Now, listen, they're going to get a home playoff game, and they're probably going to win a home playoff game. Now, are you asking me if the Dallas Cowboys can break 25 years of a curse and make it to the NFC Conference Championship game? If they play at home, maybe. But this team has no chance at all of winning a Lombardi trophy. They're going to have to go on the road at some point. And they're going to have to play a really good team on the road, probably the San Francisco 49ers. And they'll get steamrolled. Because that's the trend we've seen with the Dallas Cowboys. When they're playing Tommy DeVito, when they're playing Zach Wilson, when they're playing Mac Jones at home, they will steamroll you. They're playing Bryce Young, they will beat you up. No team beats up on opponents like the Dallas Cowboys does. No team beats up on lesser opponents than the Dallas Cowboys does. It's not a bad thing. No one's going to come on here and curse the Dallas Cowboys out because they beat up on bad teams. That's a good thing. You're supposed to beat those teams. But the Dallas Cowboys have always been missing the same thing in these big games. Dak Prescott did not show up in the 49ers game, probably his worst game of the season. Did not show up against the Buffalo Bills this year on the road. And that's why I continue to tell people, Dak Prescott cannot win you a Super Bowl. And Dak Prescott, up until this year, which we still haven't even seen those demons exercised, Dak Prescott cannot and has not and likely will not win multiple playoff games in the same year. The Dallas Cowboys fan base should be worried that they continuously are unable to travel and look like the same team against good teams. That is worrisome. It's not an indictment on the Dallas Cowboys season. Still a good team. They're still technically a contender, but they're going to have to go on the road, likely to have to play the San Francisco 49ers. And they're going to get rolled because they always get rolled on the road when they have to play a good team. Now, if somehow, some way, God smiles on them and they get the number 1 seed and they play at home, totally different story. But the difference between Super Bowl champions and the rest of the NFL is they're steady Eddie. And the Dallas Cowboys are anything but a steady and complete and consistent team on the road against good teams as they are at home against good or bad teams. Because no one beats up on worse teams at home like the Dallas Cowboys. But when they're asked to step up to the challenge, when they're asked to be the team that steps on a team's throat on the road in a real playoff implications game, they can't do it. There's no stat or anything that can change my mind. Dak Prescott continues to show us that he can't be trusted in the biggest games. He can be trusted against Zach Wilson and the Jets at home, Tommy DeVito and the Giants at home, Mac Jones and the Patriots at home. But Dak Prescott did not show up. Micah Parsons was invisible. And this Dallas Cowboys defense got a little bit exposed on the running game. These are real issues for the Dallas Cowboys. And as much as I want to say it's a burn the tape game, you cannot get blown out 31-10 and try to convince me you are a legit Super Bowl contender. The Philadelphia Eagles have already done it. They've already been to the Super Bowl. We'll see what issues they have later. But the Dallas Cowboys are nowhere near built enough to go on the road and beat an elite team. You can call it hating. I don't care. You can sit in the comment section and tell me how dumb I am and keep your eyes closed and be a fanboy and don't recognize the real issues at hand. Dak Prescott is not the same quarterback when trailing. Dak Prescott is not the same quarterback on the road against an elite team or against a good team than he is at home facing Tommy DeVito, Mac Jones, or Zach Wilson. These are real issues. You can either acknowledge it. You can either acknowledge that Micah Parsons wasn't great. You can even acknowledge that the running defense was really bad and suspect to say the least. Or you can stick your head in the sand, be an ostrich, and act like everything is okay. But it's not. This is a real issue. The Cowboys are in trouble. I've got a spicy hot take that I'm ready to share with the rest of the world, which I will totally embrace. Is very weird right now. It's very, very strange to bring this up, especially after the game this quarterback had. But why is no one talking about Josh Allen for MVP? Why, and I'm only going to spend a few minutes on this. Why is no one taking the time to talk about Josh Allen for the NFL's most valuable players honors? This is not the most outstanding player. This is the most valuable player. The media and fan bases don't know how to separate those two words. That's why they think Brock Purdy's the MVP, or that's why they think Patrick Mahomes isn't, or Lamar Jackson isn't, and they think guys like Brock Purdy are, because no one understands the difference between valuable and the difference between outstanding. Josh Allen has been outstanding at times this year, and I understand the interception numbers can drive you a little crazy, and on Sunday against the Cowboys, he only completed 7 passes. I'm not going to completely indict or anoint Josh Allen as the NFL's MVP. But third in QBR, I know San Francisco 49er fans love to use that stat. This year in the regular season, 93 passer rating, 3,500 yards, 8th in the NFL, 26 touchdowns, tied 3rd in the NFL, and 14th in picks. That's the one thing that's got a lot of people up in arms is the interception numbers for Josh Allen and how they're not great, and I get it. Those turnover mistakes, those prone gunslinger mentality with Josh Allen can sometimes drive people a little insane. Not me, but some people. Let's just talk a little bit deeper into Josh Allen. It's different last year when Dak Prescott led the league in interceptions. One, he played 4 less games than everyone else, if you remember correctly. Cooper Rush played multiple games last year, and Dak Prescott led the league in interceptions with less games than everyone else. Josh Allen is carrying the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen, after week 1, was seen as an afterthought as an elite quarterback in the NFL, and I said, no. Josh Allen is the life preserver for this organization. Josh Allen is not the problem. He's the solution for this team. Look around on the Buffalo Bills. Outside of yesterday, on Sunday, against the Dallas Cowboys, outside of Sunday, James Cook looks like I'd rather have 12 to 15 running backs over him. They've never had a consistent rushing attack. He was the rushing attack outside of Sunday. Sunday's the outlier. Sunday having an elite rushing attack is the outlier. But for the tenure, and including this year as well, Josh Allen was the rushing attack. He never had viable running backs. Look at Devin Singletary and Zach Moss. They're playing fine at other places. Why weren't they like this in Buffalo? Because Buffalo's offensive line, normally not very good. At minimum, it's average at times. At best, it's average at times. And look at his weapons. People point to Dalton Kincaid. Dalton Kincaid is a rookie. It is hard in the NFL to adjust from being a rookie and playing 13, 14 games in college football to playing 17 in the NFL against the best athletes. Oh, and if you make the playoffs, you're going to play more games. Stephon Diggs is an elite talent. You got me there. After Stephon Diggs, it's just a bunch of guys. The offensive line is average at best at times. Dawson Knox has been injured roughly almost the whole season, it feels like. He's barely back now. Dalton Kincaid is a rookie. Gabe Davis, give me a break. There are still people out there that think Gabe Davis is a viable wide receiver too because he had 4 touchdowns in a playoff game a zillion years ago. James Cook, outside of yesterday, is very spotty. This Buffalo Bills team is dependent on Josh Allen. If Josh Allen, God forbid, tears an ACL or breaks a leg or rolls an ankle, this team goes into the gutter. There is no saving the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen has been the life preserver. So Josh Allen, who's been working with less than, outside of Patrick Mahomes, he's working with less than Lamar Jackson. He's working with much less than San Francisco 49ers' own quarterback, Brock Purdy. If he's working with less and makes it in the playoffs in a harder conference that is the AFC, you have to give the MVP to Josh Allen. If Josh Allen is the reason the Buffalo Bills make the playoffs, now he's got to be the reason. He can't throw up 7 completions and a touchdown and just manage the game like he did on Sunday. But if he wins out and he's outstanding and his stats are comparable to the likes of Brock Purdy and Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen is the MVP. He's a life preserver for this Buffalo Bills organization. Gabe Davis is not a viable wide receiver 2. I'm not so sure he's a viable wide receiver 3. Stephon Diggs is awesome, but is getting double covered, shadowed, and they're throwing everything at him. James Cook, outside of Sunday, is not an elite running back. I would rather have 12 other running backs over James Cook, and that's just facts, guys. I'm sorry if it hurts your feelings, but that's just facts. And the offensive line is average at best. Now, when you compare the two, Brock Purdy, who's got the Avengers, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Trent Williams, Christian McCaffrey, legitimately 3 all-pro players on his offensive side, and Josh Allen doesn't have a single all-pro weapon this season, meaning Stephon Diggs will not be an all-pro player this season, and he's doing less with more in a harder conference, there is absolutely no argument in which he is not the most valuable player in the NFL. If Josh Allen is the reason why the Buffalo Bills make the playoffs, he's the most valuable player in the NFL. And I think more people should be talking about it because he is carrying this Bills organization right now, and he has been during his entire tenure as a Buffalo Bill. People were indicting him after week 1 against the Jets, and I said, wait, no. He's the last person to blame. Yeah, sure, he's a little bit of a gunslinger. He throws a little bit too many interceptions for my liking, but that's his style of play. Because like Cam Newton has said, he's a game-changing quarterback. We throw around that term now. He can win you a Super Bowl by himself, similar to the likes of Joe Burrow or a Patrick Mahomes or a Lamar Jackson at times. Josh Allen has been saying this year, get on my back, especially over the last few games. It's not Josh Allen's fault that his kicker and defense continue to fail him. Josh Allen has had multiple games where he has scored a go-ahead touchdown with 2 minutes to go, and they have lost each of those 3 games. We need to talk more about Josh Allen as the MVP. I only want to spend a couple of minutes on this topic because I think it's really interesting. What Justin Fields is doing for the Chicago Bears over the past month or since he's came back from injury around when the bye happened for the Chicago Bears, he has shown real improvement. Justin Fields, even to me, who was a big critic and said Jordan Love was better, and I was right, Jordan Love is better and is making consistent leaps unlike Justin Fields. There's nothing that I can say that can defend the fact that Justin Fields is a game breaker. Justin Fields has the potential, again, we're going to use that Cam Newton word, to be a game changer. He has elite speed. He is elusive with the football. And every now and then he makes a, did you see that throw? Justin Fields has the capabilities to be a good quarterback in this league. He hasn't been able to put it together. Now, how much of that is his fault? We don't know because the Chicago Bears are a debacle of an organization, and they have been over the past 50, 40, 30 years, 35 plus years. He hasn't really been supported. So when I see Chicago Bears fans clamoring and saying, Justin Fields, we got to keep Justin Fields. Stop making the mistake, Bears franchise, Bears organizations. Go get Marvin Harrison Jr., skip on Caleb Williams, sign Justin Fields to a long-term contract, and figure it out from there. That is stupid. If you are willing to take a chance on a wide receiver, on a quarterback in which we have 3 years of film on in Justin Fields over Caleb Williams, you're crazy. The Chicago Bears are in a prime position to draft the best quarterback in the draft and have another top 5 pick in which they could sell it off to a quarterback-needy team, fill more positions, and then you have the ammunition for Justin Fields. You can absolutely get a second, maybe 2 seconds, or maybe you get a team even desperate enough to give a first-round pick for Justin Fields. This is a quarterback-needy team, and the Chicago Bears can name their price. You want a quarterback, Atlanta? You want to stick around with Desmond Ridder? Hey, New England Patriots, you want to skip on Drake May and you want to keep Mac Jones? Or the New Orleans Saints? How's Derek Carr working out for you? The NFL has always been quarterback starved. The quarterback play this year has never been worse. I mean, we have guys who are going to start playoff games. Joe Flacco was raking leaves and sitting on his sofa 3 weeks ago. He's going to be a starting playoff quarterback this season. Kenny Pickett, if he comes back and the Steelers figure it out, is going to start a playoff game. I mean, the Vikings, The Vikings might have Nick Mullins start a playoff game. The quarterback play has never been worse, and you're telling me that teams won't get desperate enough to give up a second-round, first-round pick? Multiple seconds and thirds for Justin Fields? Even I, who has been highly critical of Justin Fields in his play, sees what other people see. I mean, sometimes I see it and I drop my mouth and I say, wow, is that dude the best player on his team? Is that dude the best player on the field? I remember watching Justin Fields last year score on a just crazy touchdown run against the Eagles, who went on to go to the Super Bowl. Justin Fields has value. So why in the world would you hold on to Justin Fields, who we have 3 years of tape on? He's not outstanding. He's not terrible, but you have a chance to upgrade, add a guy in Caleb Williams, reset the quarterback clock, and then use the other top 5 pick you have to get the second best wide receiver in the draft, to get an elite corner, maybe to get another tackle, maybe to sell it off to a quarterback-needy team. The Bears are in prime positioning to change this franchise and to turn this franchise around if they don't get in their own way. The path to success for the Chicago Bears is trading Justin Fields, is drafting Caleb Williams, is using that other pick to pick another wide receiver, to trade Justin Fields for a multitude of picks in a quarterback-needy NFL in which the quarterback play has never been worse. That is the path for the Chicago Bears to head back to NFL relevancy. It's not running it back with Justin Fields. You've done that for years and years and years. You have the possibility to have the best job on the market. Fire Matt Eberflus, trade Justin Fields, hire Ben Johnson, draft Caleb Williams, use the other pick to pick whoever you want or to trade it away to a quarterback-needy team and get more picks, and then you are on the road to NFL relevancy. Multiple 6-5 primetime games next year. You are talked about, and in an NFC North that is not exactly locked down. Who knows how good the Lions are going to do after this season once they get poached by Ben Johnson walking out that door? Who knows what happens? But I promise you, Justin Fields is not saving this organization. Justin Fields is not talented enough as a thrower of the football to elevate above this garbage organization of the Chicago Bears that has been a tire fire of an organization that is the Chicago Bears for the last 30 years. Be honest with yourself. Stop deceiving yourself. Stop falling in love with one or two plays from Justin Fields and saying, all we're missing is Marvin Harrison Jr. Because you said that last year. You said that last year before you got DJ Moore. DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, Deonta Foreman is a fine running back. He's a serviceable running back, and the offensive line is better this year than it has been in years past. Move on from Justin Fields. Stop lying to yourself. Stop getting in your own way of success. The Bears have a clear path. The Bears have a clear path to NFL relevancy, and it's very simple. Will the Bears get in their own way? Probably. But it's really easy to head back to NFL glory, to climb atop the NFC North, and the plan is easy, and it's there, and it's right for the taking. Stop getting in your own way. Stop lying to yourself. Drop Justin Fields. Go get Caleb Williams, and figure out everything else. Go get Ben Johnson, and you'll have a clear path to being one of the most sought-after, not just jobs in the NFL, but one of the most sought-after watches in the NFL from a consumer perspective. We've seen Justin Fields. It's not fun. And that's the way the Bears should go this offseason. They have been handed a golden ticket out of NFL purgatory. And this is the way it's done. Drop Justin Fields, drop Matt Eberflus, turn anew, and look ahead to the next chapter. Stop rereading the same book. That is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day, whether you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or for free on the iHeartRadio app, or you're watching on YouTube, you're looking at my beautiful voice. It looks like I kind of need a haircut a little bit. We'll figure that out. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, or don't. We're just happy that you're here on the Ben Garcia Show. Have a great and awesome and Merry Christmas. Jesus loves you. God bless your families. It's going to be awesome. I hope you have an amazing Christmas. And then from my wife, myself, from the Garcia family to yours, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I hope it's amazing. Thank you so much for tuning into the Ben Garcia Show. And until next week, where I have more fiery, spicy, hot takes for you, we just want to say thank you, bid you a farewell. And until next time, it's been the Ben Garcia Show.